Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. As the introduction said, the last 5 years, I've been the CEO and co-founder of Iris AI. We're building a machine for scientific text understanding, and I have about 10 minutes with you, so I'll keep it quite brief. And I just want to give you a quick demo of what we're up to and how that might help make your lives easier. I'm not a psychologist. I am not really in well-being tech beyond making scientists' lives a little easier when doing their jobs. What we started with here before this conference was that Nicole actually gave me a couple of problem statements that fits right into what Jeffrey just talked about and what the topic of this whole conference is. And you'll hear, a lot of these talks on the topic throughout the day. And here is one of the research questions that Nicole gave me that you should be able to see on my screen right here. And she talked about nourishing relationships in the digital age, that we are now doing screen to screen, and it's just not quite the same. And loneliness is a very big part of the human condition, so to speak. And it doesn't help when we're not face to face in the physical world. And a couple of things that was highlighted in this, general description of the problem was things like the effective computing as a research field, as well as the increase of wearables that enables us to read biosignals with a lot more fidelity. And so what I did was I undertook a research challenge, again, not a psychologist, not into well-being type technologies, but I took on this research challenge using the Iris AI tools. And I'll take you on a very brief journey, no full product demo, but of what that looked like. I started by giving this full problem statement to Iris to read. And when submitting that, I ended up with, and let me show you the next tab. I've cheated a little to do a quick demo. I ended up with this map where the tool took the initial problem statement, built it out to a contextual fingerprint, and did fingerprint matching with millions of other research papers. In this version, because I'm an individual user, I have access to PubMed, paywalled and open access, and all of the open access content in the world, and a bunch of patents as well for those in that field. So I got this overview, right? So the topics that are being talked about is biosignals, social technology, loneliness, etc. And I started digging into biosignals. And what I found was one article quite quick about biosignal-based emotion analysis. And I went into this one, and it's an interesting one, so I bookmarked it, but it was also from 2009. And I said, you know what? Let's see if we can find something newer. So I used this article, had Iris read that, to build a new map for us. And that map looked then like this: bio-based emotions. And here we have biosignals again, but we also learned something here about human agent and human agent interaction, which I know there's going to be a session one later. And I found a few articles about how to design sociable agent interaction through emotion detection towards effective cognitive robots, etc. Super interesting field. But then I definitely wanted to, let's see what my process was. Oh yeah, so I went into that a little bit, looked a little bit more on the biosignals, but then I found a really interesting part as well, which is biomedical signals and classifier algorithms, where I actually found a much more recent article on EEG-based emotion classification. And so what I did is I used that paper to build a new map. And this way I kind of, what some of our users call, jumped into the rabbit hole of science, and I produced a whole range of these maps. And that was all great. And once I, jumped into the rabbit hole a little bit, I went back a little bit because Nicole had given me a reference also to that first problem statement. And I wanted to go back a little bit, too much in the rabbit hole. So I took this article and I actually copied the link to that tool, to that article, and I gave it to our tool to read. So the tool again read this article, built a new map that looks like this. And what I then found actually was, because I wanted to move a little bit away from the tech, because tech is super exciting, but I wanted to dig a little further. And so what I did was I looked into the social connection topic in this context, and communication. And I found a really interesting article on the effect of needing to belong and how that affects online social behaviors and cognitive interactions. And there was really beautiful sentence on how a deprived sense of belonging actually disabled people's ability to sense social cues online and initiate new social connections. All right, so I explored this for a long while, right? And as you might have seen already from my little browser tabs here, is that we have 150 papers, we have 255 papers. We're ending up with a lot of papers. So what I wanted to do at the end was I wanted to take everything that I had found on this topic, and I wanted to crunch it all together and see if I could distill it into an actual readable final reading list, because there's a lot of noise in this process. It's a really, really broad topics. There's a lot of things to cover. So what I did is I used what we call the focus tool. And here I picked all of the research maps that I had built over the last few hours and bookmarked. So I imported all of those. And what you can see is that there's 1,049 papers in that list, which is, of course, substantial, and I don't want to read 1,049 papers. So what I did is I imported all of these papers into this list. And, again, not going to go through all of the details here, but what I could do is I could start by excluding concepts that the machine had found in my articles, in this set of 1,000 articles. And I found things like, business and corporate, not interested in that aspect of emotions. I found things like ambulances and hospitals, not interested in that kind of EEG measuring. I found things on epilepsy and autism, and I decided to exclude all of that so that I would actually narrow down my reading list a little bit, and I narrowed it down to 333 that was excluded, and we kept about 700. All right, cool, we got that far, but there's still, some more work to be done. So I went to the next stage, and what the machine does here is it does something called topic modeling, basically takes all of the papers we have and distribute them into categories. Categories like this. A category that can be described by 10 words on, this one is about social networks, contacts, connection, etc. But kind of a broad category. And here as well, I went in and I said, exclude these things. I excluded things that had to do with school and learning because I really wanted to dig into the more hardcore tech at this point. So I chose everything that had to do with EEG, biosignals, emotional detection, etc. And as you can see here, there were quite a few topics around that. And so I picked what to include, what to exclude, and after some back and forth iterations, and after quite a bit of kind of manual iteration as well, you can see here I marked some of them as, yes, this is good, I want to exclude it. Some of it is actually, no, I want to include this one. And so I went back and forth quite a few times, but I didn't spend, everything you see now took me about a couple of hours, an hour and a half. And again, I'm not a domain expert here. And at the end, when I was feeling satisfied with my back and forth iterations, I had about 170 articles, which I then exported. And now I cheated a little bit, so I'm just going to pull that up for you here. I exported it into a list where I had the URL, I had the title, I have even the full abstract of the papers, everything like that. So now I can really take those 170 papers and really start digging into it. So that was my little deep dive into the world of science around everything it is you do. At Iris AI, we have a fundamental belief that if we want the world to be a better place for any human being, science has to be a part of that. We have to have evidence-based for what we are doing, no matter what tech we are applying. We have to look at the scientific basis for what we do. And so we do want to give you here at the conference a special opportunity, if you like. Now, we do have a free version of our tool that anyone in the world is allowed to sign up to and use, some limited functionality. But if any one of the participants today, or that are watching this in the aftermath, thinks that maybe you want to try these tools to get some more evidence backing up your project, your startup, your research, then you're very welcome to contact us. You can email order iris.ai and just mention TTC in your subject line, and we'll give you 50% discount for the first month. If you want to get started, try out the tools and see if they can be helpful to you.